Chapter 65. The Awakening. Oh, is this Captain Chinmai? It's me. We had a problem cleaning up the World War II site. What kind of problem? When we recovered the corpse of the Nanda basilisk, we found that its head. It's gone. On the passenger side of the car, Chinmai's brow wrinkled slightly. Is it missing? Yeah, we searched the entire scene but we didn't find the head. Did the students hide it? Probably not. We've already searched them and found nothing. We figured someone might have gotten out of the auditorium with its head before we got there. There's supposed to still be a blanket over the school. He's not gonna get out. Chinmai calmly said that you will play the dream whisper throughout the campus, wash his memory first, and he will throw himself into the net if he loses his memory. Roger. After hanging up the phone, Hong Ying asked curiously, Captain, what's going on? The Nanda serpent's head is missing. Someone may have stolen it. Chinmai said, but the problem is not big, should be able to find. Lin Seven Knights first alone, frowning slightly, looking out of the window. Is he? Thunk. Trying to turn over the wall, Onching Fish was invisible barrier hard hit back to the ground. He gnashed his teeth from the ground to climb, reach out his bag back, staring at the nothingness in front of him. The invisible barrier was still there, and they might have noticed that the basilisk's head was missing. He muttered to himself. His eyes glinted, he thought for a moment and ran straight in the direction of the playground. Since he could not escape, he hid. He did not believe that the barrier could be opened for too long. As long as he hid until they left, he could escape. Onching Fish ran to the very edge of the playground in an open space. In the weeds turned out a manhole cover and forcefully lifted it away. Next thing you know, a foul smell comes from the sewer. Onching Fish resists the impulse of nausea. Forced to adjust the mentality, carrying the bag jumped down. The manhole cover will return to its original position. The dark and damp sewer, the stench from all sides into the nose of Onching Fish. Almost to suffocate him, he clenched his teeth, holding the bag still endure. Dark, his eyes still bright as stars. Suddenly, a melodious music came from outside. Onching Fish's pupils suddenly contracted. In a trance, he seems to hear someone whispering in his ear. The whole person cannot control the sleepiness trance, he will go to sleep. At that moment, a strange power gushed from his heart. As if there were a clear spring flowing into his brain, all dreams and whispers washed away without a trace. Onching Fish suddenly opened his eyes. The eye has disappeared, replaced by absolute clarity. Beneath his eyes there was a faint shade of gray. Now he was more sober than ever. He stared ahead, then down at his hands. In his eyes, his body seems to have become a very precise machine. He can see the process of every part, clearly understand the principle of their operation. He knows how to do it every time he blinks, every time he breathes. He is like an experienced watchmaker, using a magnifying glass to peer at the running process of every link of the clock. He had never known his body so well. Suddenly he thought of something. He quickly unzipped his bag and took out a head. The head of the Nanda serpent. Under those eyes, this mythical creature, which does not belong to the scope of modern scientific research, seems to be dismantled into one gear, one machine, one screw. But now he can't see it through. So Onching Fish from the bag sandwich took out a sharp fruit knife. He looked like a doctor with a scalpel, staring at the head in front of him and stab it in the head, painstakingly cutting open its skull. He's dissecting, he wants to see inside the head what is. He cut the head faster and faster, his eyes more excited, his body began to tremble with excitement. Dark and foul-smelling sewers, a thin teenager holding a knife, smiling, bit by bit cutting a hideous head. His voice echoed in the gloom. So that's it. So that's it. I get it. So this is how it works. Interesting to. That was fun. This is where. In the dark cell, Li Yifei slowly opened his eyes. He looked around blankly, just about to stand up, intermittent memories like a flood into his mind. He let out a cry of pain and stumbled to the ground again. Onching Fish shot. He was Lin Seven Knights stunned. Lurking in the body of the difficult snake demon appeared fierce battle. And then was Lin Seven Knights cut off the head. He looked at his hands in astonishment and his voice began to shake. Me too, I am the Nanda serpent. How could this be? I killed them. His eyes seemed to appear those students who were slaughtered by the sons of the serpent, and the blood on the ground seemed to be imprinted on his mind, gradually becoming his nightmare. He was half on his knees, his face twisted, and he was groaning in pain. The next moment, his eyes suddenly turned into a strange vertical pupil, as if he had changed himself and stood up expressionlessly. Cowardly piece of shit. One of the Nanda's arms grew scales and he grabbed the fence in front of him, trying to break it. Immediately afterwards, a series of obscure symbols emerged from the surface of the cell, and the terrible repulsive force directly crashed into the Nanda serpent, which hit the wall on the other side of the cell and then fell to the ground. The Nanda snake demon stared at the fence in front of him, the snake letter spewing, the eyes cold to the bone. In the first moment of contact with the fence, the fragments of information about the cell have been infused into its mind. He doesn't know where it is, but he knows. Your life is in the hands of one man. That man, he owns this place. Just as the Nanda serpent was pondering, steady footsteps came from the other side of the corridor. Its vertical eyes contracted, and quickly climbed to the fence, looking toward that side. Dim corridor, a figure more and more clear. It was a young man wearing a white coat with his hands in his pockets, and when he saw his face, the Nanda serpent's body shook. It's you. Lin Seven Knights, expressionless, walked in front of it, raised eyebrows. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Chapter 66. The First Nurse. The Nanda serpent sat behind the fence and watched him silently. Lin Chia's eyes are slightly narrowed, standing outside the bar, also watching the eyes of the Nanda serpent. In his field of vision, a familiar panel had unfolded. The sinner, the Nanda serpent choice. As a mythical creature killed by your own hands, you have the right to determine the fate of its soul. Option 1. Destroy its soul directly and make it completely disappear from the world. Option 2. Make it have a loyalty value of 60 for you and you can hire it as a nurse in a hospital, taking care of patients while providing you with protection to a certain extent. Current loyalty value, 0 of 85. Lin Seven Knights, after reading these information, eyebrows slightly raised. This assignment was different from the previous one, when, if he remembered correctly, the nurse's standard was fear, and this time it was loyalty. In other words, for different mythical creatures, the hospital gives different standards of nursing staff. Moreover, this time the loyalty value is divided into two parts. One is 0, one is 85. If Lin Chia guess is correct, this is because the Nanda snake demon body is divided into two different consciousness. The first value comes from the Nanda serpent himself, and the second value comes from Li Yifei's independent consciousness. I think you already know your destiny. After a while, Lin Seven Knights slowly open. Kill me, Li Yifei will die. Nanda snake demon stared at Lin Seven Knights' eyes. Meaning? Lin Seven Knights' light smile. You think I will care about his death or life? Yes, it would bother me for a while if he died, but that's as far as it goes. My relationship with him. Not that good. You should know that. The Nanda serpent fell silent. As the existence that has been watching everything behind Li Yifei's every move, it is clear from the two people to realize now, but also more than half a month's time, to say how close the relationship is pure bullshit. What's more, Li Yifei also left him and ran away once. Use the feelings of two people to be all the chips. Nanda snake demon is not so stupid. What do you want? I think you misunderstood something. Lin Chia calmly opened his mouth. Now you are showing me your value. If your value does not meet my expectations. I'm sorry. My hospital doesn't accommodate idle people. Nanda snake demon paused for a moment, slowly open. I am good at camouflage, can plant snake species, lurking and infiltration is my skill. Not enough at all. I'm good at layout. I can give you ideas. What do you say you're good at? I didn't say anything. Nanda snake demon almost forgot that his bureau was broken by him. However, brainstorming is not a bad thing. A person's wisdom does not necessarily cover all. We think of different ways and levels, may be able to give you some reference. Well, that sounds good. What else? Although I now have a relatively low combat power, but when I am an adult the body will also have a strong combat ability and I can shed skin, difficult to kill. Continue. No more. Lin Seven Knights, to think you will make the old man happy? I won't. Nanda serpent's brain almost did not turn around, but Li Yifei is very good at this. That'll do. Lin Chia paused for a moment and spoke again. You can stay, but there are additional conditions. What conditions? When not necessary, let Li Yifei take charge of this body. Nanda serpent heart tangled for a moment or nodded. Okay, I promise. Freedom is important, but it never wants to die, and Li Yifei is also part of it, and giving up the body to him is not too difficult to accept. Lin Chia nodded, reached out in the void a grasp. A parchment paper and a pen appeared out of thin air in his hand. Here's your employment contract. Take a look at it and sign it if there's no problem. Lin Seven Knights put the big boss's posture. Flapper will hand parchment a lost. Nanda Snake will hold the paper in hand, carefully read, expression suddenly wonderful. Rather than a labor contract, it is more appropriate to say the deed of sale, which lists a lot of obligations that the Nanda serpent should do, including but not limited to must unconditionally obey the orders of the president of Lin Chia, must not harm or intend to harm the president of Lin Chia and his interests, must not damage the public property in the hospital, must regularly clean the hospital. You have to get up early to make breakfast for the patients. In the additional column that line, there is a non-essential situation, must let Li Yifei personality in charge of the body. In the column of obligations that should be fulfilled in the forest 7 nights, there is only one lonely word. This is definitely a heartless, one-sided exploitation of the caregiver's interests, the kind of black. Now, however, the Nanda serpent had no choice but to sign his name. At the moment the name is signed, the parchment automatically burns, and then the strange symbols around the cell gradually dissipate and the cell door automatically opens. At the same time, Nanda's body quickly reverted to human form, and the body also added a blue nurse uniform, nurse's chest with a black nameplate. Nurse 001. Li Yifei looked blankly at his clothes and scratched his head. Just Nanda Snake Demon and Lin 7 Nights dialogue. He also listened clearly, is basically understood the current situation. He went from being a classmate of Lin 7 Nights to being a wage boy under his hand. How does it feel to be resurrected? Lin 7 Nights smiled and walked forward. Not bad. Li Yifei said with a wry smile. Boss Lin, don't press me too hard in the future, I can't stand it. Call the dean. Lin Chia patted him on the shoulder, turned and walked out of the cell. Come with me, I'll introduce you to this hospital. Li Yifei, wearing a nurse's suit, sighed and quickly followed Lin Chia to go up. This area is a ward and there's only one ward open and there's only one patient in this hospital and her name is Nix and she's going to look at my list later. That is the activity area. On weekdays you can take her to watch TV, play chess. Don't let her always hold the vase in the yard in a daze. Don't finally mental illness is not cured and got Alzheimer's disease. This is the pharmacy. Give her 2 pills 3 times a day. With the introduction of Lin 7 Nights, Li Yifei the whole person has been numb. Fucking. What is it? Mother, I have found you a companion, and he will keep you company for me from now on. Finally, Lin Chia took Li Yifei to Nix and introduced him with a smile. Nix looked at Li Yifei as if thinking about something. After a moment she opened her mouth wide. Surprise opening. My grandson. Grandma found you. Chapter 67. Stop him. The smile on Li Yifei's face suddenly froze, and he slowly turned his head to look at Lin Chia. Lin 7 Nights gave him a positive look. Li Yifei. Grandma. Li Yifei obediently opened his arms and hugged the excited Nix together, smiling more ugly than crying. I also miss you. At the side of the play Lin Chia frowned slightly looking at Li Yifei's eyes full of admiration. It's you. You really are a pro when it comes to making old people laugh. Lin 7 Nights clearly see Nix's head treatment progress jumped from 21% to 23%. Of course, this progress bar only he can see, Li Yifei is not visible. During the past half-month, Lin had come to the hospital almost every day on time, feeding Nix with medicine and chatting with her. Under the double treatment of medicine and spirit, Nix's condition had improved a lot, and at least now she would not go to the medicine room secretly holding the medicine bottle and crying. In the future, with Li Yifei this guy to accompany 24 hours, it is estimated that her recovery progress will be greatly increased, and it should not take long to reach 50%. When that happens he can extract Nix's second power. During this period Lin Chia also tried to open the door of the second ward, but it was still a pity that it could not be opened. It should be directly linked to its own realm, and spiritual cultivation can only be gradual and urgent. Fortunately, Lin Chia practiced the cultivation method taught by Wen Qimo during this time, and he had thoroughly stabilized the Zhan realm, and it would not take long to break through to the next realm. Lin 7 Nights with Li Yifei charged a few words, then left the mental hospital. The following days seem to be no different from before. Even if Lin Chia has excellently completed the first task, the amount of training on weekdays is still not reduced at all. Lin Chia even felt Chen Mai's knife hit the face more painful. However, after experiencing this life and death fight, Lin Kinite's own cooperation with the earthly god domain is more tacit, and the accuracy of mental perception has improved a lot, and it has been able to perfectly avoid the shooting frequency of 50 pieces/second in the organ room, and challenge 100 pieces/second. To say the greatest progress, perhaps Lin's 7 nights of shooting. From the beginning of the 30 meters of shooting is bound to miss the target, 20 meters of shooting barely on the target, all the way to the present training. He's barely guaranteed to hit a target within 30 meters. Lin's 7 nights still remember that day, his first 30 meters shooting on the target with mental force to see Ling Xian standing behind the eyes red quietly wipe tears. Then he looked up and smiled with relief. In 10 days. Lin's 7 nights went to the door of the captain's office and knocked on the door. Come. Lin's 7 nights into the room. See, Chen Mai is holding a document, carefully read. He looked up at Lin Chia and said, "In a few days the new recruit training will begin." Lin's 7 nights alone, this only realized that he entered the night watchman to now, unconsciously has passed a month. But, what should I do to prepare? Well, according to the situation of previous years, this year's recruit training should also be in Shanghai, and I will prepare the materials for you during this time, and let you bring them there then. By the way, during the training of new recruits, the unified use of closed management, although the daily necessities will be provided there, but the quality may not be very good, and let the red tassel take you to the street to buy something, the cost I will reimburse you. In addition, the weather in Shanghai City is not as cold as Songnan. Remember to buy more winter clothes or put them in my account. Training is the most prone to injury. You remember to come back to me in the morning, I will give you some medicine. The effect of this medicine is much better than the other drugs on the market. Chen Mai, holding a small book in his hand, one by one carefully charged Lin's 7 nights. Even on the train to buy what kind of shop most comfortable, said clear. By the time Chen Mai closed his small book, half an hour had passed. Have you written down all that I have just said? Chen Mai seriously looked at Lin's 7 nights. Lin Chia nodded heavily. Well, it's all written down. Good. Chen Mai seems to think of something. The ticket to Shanghai City to buy a little early to report to the people, can choose their own dormitory, a while on the street to buy it. By tomorrow's. Tomorrow? Leaving tomorrow? Lin was stunned for 7 nights. The sooner the better. I see. Lin's 7 nights nodded. After Lin's 7 nights left from the office, Chen Mai silently turned out his wallet, glanced inside. A faint sigh. That afternoon, Redding and Xishan and 2 people with Lin's 7 nights. It can be said that the entire Songnan city to visit all over. Well, Lin's 7 nights this life did not visit the street all made up back. Whoa, little Nan. Look at that Peppa Pig bed sheet. Let's buy one for 7 nights. Hurrah. That pink suitcase is great. Buy one. Hurrah. Little Nan. Look at this snow-white backpack. Isn't that awesome? Hurrah. Whoa. Look at that little dress. It's so beautiful. Buy it. Well. Hoo asterisk at yen hashtag at. Lin's 7 nights dead cover 6 Yannen's mouth. Solemn opening. Sister Red, I think. That's not for me. Red Tassel regretfully put down the backless dress in her hand and sighed. It is also. You're a boy, not very good in a dress. Then she picked up the sexy halter shirt next to her and looked at Lin Chia with shining eyes. Then let's buy this. Lin Chia. Until the evening, Lin Kinite, carrying bags and bags, staggered back to the room. Looking at the colorful land, Lin Chia sat on the side, helpless smile, but more and more smile more brilliant. There was a faint sadness in his eyes as he smiled. He looked out of the window where the moonlight was falling. Are you going? The next morning. The gate of the train station. Lin Chia stood in front of the train station with 2 large suitcases, and behind him were the other members of Team 136. Have you got everything? Wu Xiangnan spoke first. All packed. 7 nights, brother. I bought you sunscreen, hair removal cream and body lotion. You must remember to use. Red Ing, 2 eyes red, standing in the front, reluctant to say. I'll use it, don't worry. Lin 7 nights toned some helpless. 7 nights. Chen Mai stepped forward with a very serious look. Shangjing City is not more than Songnan far away, and there are some unfairness in the training. If this is in Songnan, we can directly carry a knife to kill the door to give you anger, but in Shangjing City, you're on your own. Don't worry, I can take care of myself. Lin's 7 nights serious response. He bowed slightly to the crowd. Then I'm leaving. He stood up, waved to the crowd and walked into the station with 2 suitcases in tow. Everyone looked at his back as he left, their hearts were heavy. Just then Chen Mai's mobile phone suddenly rang. Hello? What? There. Chen Mai suddenly raised his head and pointed his hand toward Lin Chia. Fuck, stop that boy. The crowd looked back in disbelief. I don't know what the top brass pumped. This time they actually set the new recruits training in Songnan. Stop him. After the station, this ticket cannot be refunded. Chapter 68, Meeting of the Wind and Clouds. Hanghai City. The Night's Watch Training Office. What? The new recruits will be trained in Songnan? Where's Songnan? Yuan Gang looked at the documents in his hands, stunned to open his mouth. In front of him, the man lounging on the recliner behind his desk stretched and sat up with squinted eyes, a cross-shaped scar on his forehead. He is the leader of Night's Watch Unit 006 in Shangjing City, a small city in southeast China near Huaihai City. Scapingo thought for a moment and replied. But, didn't the training in previous years take place in Shanghai? Why the sudden change to Songnan this year? Yuan Gang frowned. Who knows what the top brass thinks? Shaping stood up, took a glass of water from the hot kettle and slowly lay back down. Oh no, you just follow the orders. You are the deputy leader of our 006 squad, and the chief instructor of the new recruit training over the years. You have brought so many soldiers and a change of environment is not possible? Of course not. Yuan Gang shook his head again and again. I just don't understand why the sudden change of place. Obviously the equipment here is ready-made, and now all the fanatics shipped to Songnan. Isn't that just looking for trouble? The top brass must have their reasons for doing this, we just have to carry out the order, we should not know. Don't ask questions. So be it. Yuan Gang sighed. With the efficiency of the logistics department, a complete training base can be built in Songnan before dawn tomorrow, and you should take people to pack up and prepare to set off. Shoppinger took a sip of tea. Yuan Gang thought about it and continued to say, I am not in Beijing this time. Captain, you can keep Beijing, do not make a mess. Swish. A slipper sole was thrown out from behind the desk. Yuan Gang slightly sighed then ducked away, followed by Xiaoping Song's curse came from behind the desk. Hey Yuan Gang, who do you despise? How can I say that I am also the captain of the squad stationed in Beijing? Yuan Gang smiled, threw Xiaoping's slippers out of the window and then opened the door and walked out. Scoping cursed. Guangzhou Shenzhen Market. Some fancy club. Songnan? What kind of place is Songnan? In the luxurious VIP massage room, a small fat man wearing a bathrobe was lying on the sofa, looking at the notice in his hand in surprise and turning his head to ask. Behind the door of the VIP room, 5 fierce bodyguards stood expressionless. In front of them, a butler with a monocle bent slightly and said gently, Huishao, Songnan is a small city in the southeast. Weren't they all tied up in Beijing before? It seems that the policy has changed this year and it seems that your schedule will also change. I will send someone to arrange it. The little fat man thought for a moment, put the grapes back in the pot, waved his big hand, book the plane to fly on the day I will go on the day. The butler is stunned. Little master, is it too soon to go tomorrow? Don't worry about the dorms. We've got the Night's Watch set you up with the best dorms and they'll give us face. Wide and deep, too stuffy, I want to meet new friends. Grandpa, when you get there try to speak Mandarin, otherwise they might not understand. Mandarin? The little fat man thought about it and right, if there is difficulty in language communication, you can't make real friends. After saying that, he patted the young woman who was pinching her feet for himself. Well, go down and rest, I have enjoyed enough of these 10 years, and it is time to change my life. He stood up and stretched, his fat trembling slightly. What about the Songnan system? Little grandpa won't come. Juhua Mountain. The sound of Buddha is lingering and sandalwood is dense. An old monk in robes paces through a wooden corridor, his rosary in his hand turning slightly, his eyes as calm as water. Finally he stopped at the door of a Zen room. He put out his hand, tapped twice on the door and pushed it in. In the Zen room there is only a bed, a table and a futon. On the largest wall, there are 2 large words of meditation written with a black brush. The pen is elegant, seemingly mild, but it seems to hide a shocking killing intention. The dark-haired boy on the futon opened his eyes slightly. Donor Chow Yuan, your letter has arrived. The old monk saluted and then pulled an envelope from his sleeve. The dark-haired boy slowly stood up, took the envelope, opened it and looked at it for a long time. South of the Zong, he muttered, then looked up at the old monk and spoke respectfully. Master, do you think? Should I go? Donor, you have been meditating in this Buddhist temple for 5 years. The demons in your heart have been suppressed and the old man thinks that you should go. The boy's eyes hesitated. But the sin of my body. Killing is a sin, salvation is merit, merit balance, side at ease. The old monk's eyes were deep, and he clasped his hands together and said calmly, "Staying in this temple is sitting for decades, and the sin is also a sin after all. Donor, it's time to let go." The young man was silent for a long time, and also folded his hands and bowed deeply. "Thank you for your advice. Donor Chao Yuan, the old man has one more thing to remind you. Master, please. If you go to Tsongnan on this trip or meet a noble person, if you can seize the opportunity, you will not only wash away your sins in this life, but also may achieve positive results." A distinguished person? Chao Yuan's brow wrinkled slightly. This noble man? What are the characteristics? Double wood standing body, 8 gods to 1 into the night for 10 years cross my world. The old monk closed his eyes, folded his hands and sounded like an ancient bell. Amit Ba Buddha. Cao Yuan's eyes are full of doubts, but still carefully write down these words, bow in return. In that case, Chao Yuan looked up at the cloud sea on the top of the mountain outside the Zen room, clasped his hands together and calmly opened his mouth. "I'll go to." In the car. Lin's 7 knights looked at the silent people, silently contracted the neck. The atmosphere a little awkward. Ahem, when Chima coughed twice, broke the silence first. That 7 knights the train ticket did not return. "It's not your problem. Don't take it personally." Chin Mai's face in the passenger seat was a little green. "We have to think of something good." "I know, right? Such as training in Songnan City, so close, we can visit you at any time." "Training is closed. We can't get in." Driver Wu Xiangnan quiet opening. When Chiemo paused, "Then at least we bought everything such as down jackets, thick blankets, warm babies, big scarves. Pray ink, for we don't need these in the winter in Songnan." Red Tassel whispered warning. "Shut up." Chin Mai glared at Wen Chimal, only feeling that his heart was bleeding. After hesitating for a moment, he turned around and looked at Lin Chia with eager eyes. 7 nights. Why don't you go check it out later? Can I get a refund on these? Chapter 69. The First Recruit. Above the blue sky, several heavy armed transport helicopters slowly landed, and the wind whipped up by the propeller raised the wind and sand on the ground. On the other side of the tarmac, several men in military uniforms stood majestically in place, standing like a statue against the wind. The door of the helicopter slowly opened. Dressed in military uniform, carrying a black box, Yuan Gang stepped down from the helicopter. Snap. The soldiers waiting on one side saluted and shouted in unison. "Hello, Chief." Yuan Gang strides forward, face serious. The wind raised by the helicopter behind him will blow his coat corner hunting sound. "Is the training camp all set up?" "Report. Training camp is ready." Yuan Gang nodded. "By the way, give me a list of new recruits for this training." "Yes." Carrying the black box, Yuan Gang turned toward the training camp that had sprung up overnight. This training camp is located in a deserted suburb, is the territory of Tsongnan City, covers a huge area, and the training camp around 10 miles have been set up checkpoints, to military base defense level alert. In addition to the new recruits to the training, no one else can reach here. Sir, this is the list of this year's recruits. When Yuan Gang and the instructors visited the training camp, a soldier ran forward quickly and handed the list to Yuan Gang. Yuan Gang took the list, swept a glance, the whole person froze in place. The instructor in the back also stopped. Yuan Gang rubbed his eyes, looked twice, muttered, "Fuck. What the hell is this lineup this year?" "What is it, Chief?" The instructor behind him came forward curiously. "The Little Master of Guangshan Bailey Group? Is that the 100-mile group?" The instructor behind him glanced at the first line and froze. The Bactrian First Family Group, the second largest sponsor behind the Night's Watch besides the government, is known as the Museum of Forbidden Objects. 100 miles. Another instructor couldn't help but say, Is this the young master of our Night's Watch? Why are you in the Night's Watch? Experience life. Maybe. We don't understand rich people. What about when we practice? If the hand is a little heavy, it pisses him off. Won't retaliate against us, will you? Do they dare? Yuan Gang's eyes slightly narrowed. The Night Watchman is a national organization. It is 100 miles home is sponsored. A lot of money is correct. But the Night Watchman is not their home back garden. As long as you come to our training camp, everyone is equal and I will train to death and I will be responsible for what happens. Yes. The instructors nodded solemnly. Yuan Gang's eyes once again fell on the list of hands. This time there was a divine agent. An agent of the gods? Which god is it? Yuan Gang looked up to the sky, slightly narrowed his eyes. Code 003 Seraphim Michael. Seraph. Since when does a seraph have an agent? Lucky it's on our side of the Night's Watch. There hasn't been a divine agent in many years, and this boy has a great future. The last divine agent who came out of boot camp. The one from the special squad masks, I think? Right. Yuan Gang looked at the list in his hand, circled a few names with a red pen and sighed helplessly. 100 Lee Group's Little Master. One seraph agent is enough for our headaches. This time the super high-risk level of forbidden market owners once again appeared 3, and there is a sequence in the top 50. In addition, there are Shangjing Guapom Transmission, Hebei Mocha Gun Transmission, Special Forces in Service. Looking at Yuan Gang hand dense red circle behind the instructor heart some hair. Chief, it's hard stuff this time. Can we hold them down? Yuan Gang was silent for a long time, put away the list of hands and calmly opened. Contact the masked team and have them come and give me the town. Only the devil can control the devil. Outside the training camp. At the military checkpoint, a special forces soldier with a telescope frowned slightly, looked at the distance for a long time, slowly put down the telescope and took out the walkie-talkie. Report, we have someone approaching from the front. Report on him. Young male, looks like a high school student lugging a pink Hello Kitty suitcase and a Peppa Pig suitcase. The naked eye cannot see whether the weapon. A high student. The voice over the intercom paused. Was it new recruits reporting for duty? The notice was sent this morning. He'll be here this afternoon? What speed is this? He's still approaching. Please indicate. Stand by. I'll go talk to him. A few moments later, a military off-road vehicle pulled out from behind the checkpoint and headed in the direction of the boy's arrival. The sun was blazing. At the moment, Lin Chier is dragging 2 suitcases, walking on the rugged muddy road, a few drops of sweat down the cheeks. This place. Is there really a training camp? Lin Seven Knights looked around and muttered, Captain will not be because I did not return. Are you kidding me? This morning just received the specific address of the new recruit training camp. Chin Mai urged him to come over with yesterday's embarrassing send-off ceremony. Today's battle is not so big. When Chima drove him to the neighborhood, let him walk over. After we know that Lin Chier is in the south of the Tsangnan training, it seems that it is not so unable to put down the heart. Perhaps as Chin Mai said, if Lin Chier really happens something, everyone can come over with a knife, not like in Beijing so nervous. After all, this Tsangnan city is also their own territory of Team 136. Just when Lin Chier dragged the suitcase forward, the roar of the car sounded from the distance. Lin Chier squinted his eyes and stopped his pace. A camouflage military off-road vehicle with raised dust, fierce brakes in Lin Seven Knights' side. An officer from the inside of the head carefully looked at Lin Seven Knights. What? For intensive training. New recruit. Come so soon. I'm a native of Tsangnan. Let me see some ID. Lin Seven Knights will Chin Mai give him prepared documents to officers. The latter carefully looked for a long time. The documents back to Lin Seven Knights' hand pointed behind. Get in the car. Lin Seven Knights put the luggage in the trunk on the SUV. The officer with Lin Seven Knights directly through all the checkpoints and finally stopped the car at the gate of the training camp. There you are. Let yourself in. He gestured with his chin towards the front door. Lin Chier jumped out of the car, dragging 2 powder suitcases, standing in front of the huge iron gate looking up. 039 New Recruit Training Base. This is where he will spend the next year. Was the first recruit here. Chapter 70. Love is stronger than gold. After a while, an instructor came out from behind the door and looked at him with surprise. New recruit. Right. What's his name? Lin Chier. Instructor Tiger Body a shock. Seriously looked at Lin Seven Knights like looking at what rare treasure. Is that Lin Chier? Lin Seven Knights by him to see some hair is what is the problem? Not really. The instructor shook his head and opened the door to the training camp. You're the first one here this year. Come on in. By the way, my name is Hong Hao, I am your instructor. Hello Instructor Hong. Lin Seven Knights sighed into the training camp. Polite side said. Hong instructor nodded. Boy, you came early, you caught up, this time I personally take you familiar with the training camp. Hong instructor led Lin Seven Knights, turned up in the empty training camp. The interior of the training camp is much larger than Lin Chier imagined, and its buildings are not the kind of temporary tents or board houses, all of which are solidified into buildings with unknown materials. and the buildings are extremely flat in contact with the ground, as if they grow out of the ground. The ground is also divided into lines is very neat, whereas to leave, whereas to walk the car, and even painted landmarks, whereas the canteen, whereas the dormitory. The thickness and color of the various lines look very comfortable, which is the blessing of obsessive-compulsive patients. If Lin Chia did not know that this is just a wasteland, most would think that this is a new base that took several years to complete. Military vehicles were rolling along the main road, with boxes of supplies and equipment, food, water, weapons, bedding. Lin Seven Nights even saw a car stuffed full of explosives. Lin Chia's mouth twitched slightly, and suddenly there was some concern about the safety of this base. Speaking of it, Lin Chia has not received decent collective training. After all, he has been blind since primary school. The military training at the beginning of the high did not participate, even did not participate in physical education class, if not for his daily focus on exercise, now only afraid of physical weakness. Over there, that's the training ground where most of the physical training takes place. Instructor Hong pointed to the empty area not far from the airport and said, "Physical fitness is the focus of our training. Your body looks general, and it is estimated that there will be suffering. It's the cafeteria, the place you'll love and hate for the next year. It's a classroom for teaching theoretical knowledge. That string of abandoned buildings over there is a mobility playground for street fighting, abseiling, ziplining. That's the shooting range." Lin Chia looked at the endless training ground in front of him and wrote down their role. The heart is a little curious but also some expectations. "What is this? The commissary?" Lin Seven Nights, curious, pointed to the shop not far away. It was a small building that looked like the usual school grocery store, with shelves full of daily necessities, and a group of instructors stood at the door, pointing to cigarettes on the wall and saying something. "That's the supply depot." Instructor Hong glanced over. "The training camp is completely closed and there is no money here. As long as your daily necessities are damaged, you can get new ones here, as well as bread, water, and cigarettes. Each person has a fixed monthly quota, which is definitely enough." Just when the two people passed by, the instructors in the depot seemed to find something, and all of them turned to look at Lin Chia at the same time, pointing to say something. Lin Chia frowns. "Why are they all looking at me? Seraphim agents are a rarity, and it's normal for them to be curious about you." Instructor Hong replied. "There were no agents in boot camp before me?" "Of course there is." Hong instructor nodded. "The last agent who went out from the training camp has become the captain of the mask team." Mask? Lin Chia was stunned. If he remembered correctly, before when Chima told him about the deeds of this special team, which god's agent was he? "This you'll find out in 2 days." Instructor Hong smiled and did not answer. Hong instructor took Lin Chia to the edge of a dense group of buildings, said, "Here is the dormitory area. All are double rooms. You are the first to come, just pick it." Lin Chia nodded. Roughly around the dormitory building, around a circle, picked a north-facing south, lighting the best and most comfortable room. "Good taste. Then I'll sign you in." Hong instructor wrote down the house number of Lin Seven Nights. "The training will officially start in 3 days. These 2 days you are good to rest here. After all, for the next year you won't be able to rest." Hong instructor simply explained a sentence, then turned and left. Only Lin Seven Nights a person in the dormitory. The environment is cleaner than Lin Chia imagined, but the facilities are extremely simple. The low hard bed, just sit on it, let alone the air conditioning. There is not even a fan. Fortunately, Lin Seven Nights also used to hard days. This environment is nothing for him. He skillfully put his luggage, spread the sheets and covers, and lay down in bed. After all, there is no signal here, no mobile phone. Want to find something to kill time, cannot. If really let him stay here alone for 3 days, really boring. Panic. Fortunately, Lin Seven Nights had there is a mental hospital, idle boredom to drink tea with Nix, cultivate feelings, or with Li Yifei to the activity room to play chess, chat, do not feel boring. The next morning, Lin Kinite will go to the supply station to ask for some supplies. After all, now the canteen has not opened, want to find a place to eat breakfast, cannot. When he returned to the dormitory, he found that there were several people standing at the door of his dormitory. "Grandpa, I have shown you so many places. This is the best environment, warm in winter and cool in summer, and the most sunshine." A smarmy man stood in front of a fat little guy, rambling on. "Alas, to speak of, this Songnan is really not as wide and deep as us. The economy is not good, the environment is also poor. Tut. Little master, you look at this house built. Whoops, what is all this? One layer of skin on the wall. Look at the facilities in these dormitories. Look at this bed. Can people sleep in it? Grandpa, maybe we should go back." We don't have to go through this. The little fat man held his head high and glanced at him. Farts. I'm here to suffer, I'm not going back. Stop yelling and open the door. I'm staying here today. The man reluctantly opened the door with a key and saw the scene inside, first a blank. Oh boy. Grandpa who knows so little. I can't believe I took your room. Move it. What are you guys still doing? Get rid of all this stuff. How dirty. The bodyguard behind the little fat man hurried forward and wanted to help throw something. Lin Seven Knight's eyes cold on a flash. Heh. The way the vulgar young master bullies the common people. I like it best when I pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. Lin Seven Knights is about to move. The little fat man suddenly kicked on the butt, swearing. Hold your old mother. It's a fucking double room. It's my roommate. How dare you touch my roommate's stuff? Still dirty? I hate bullying dogs like you. Get out of here as far as you can. The man was kicked to the ground by the little fat man, scared to slap himself several times, and then hurriedly ran out of the door. You guys bring me the greeting gift that I brought to my roommate. Today I'm waiting here. I must show my roommate. What does it mean to feel old at first sight? Love is stronger than gold. Lin Chia. Chapter 71. Big Fat. The bodyguard behind the little fat man hurriedly put a pile of gift boxes neatly on the bed of Lin Chia, and then lined up in a long line, standing behind his own master. Okay, what are you guys standing here for? This is a boot camp. You think you're home? The little fat man impatiently waved again and again. Walk, walk, go to me, don't let the little master's roommate leave the impression that I like to bully. The bodyguards looked at each other and finally had to leave. Only the little fat man sat alone beside the mountain of presents, looked down at his clothes, cleared his throat and sat upright in the doorway. Lin Seven Knights scratched his head, and now the situation has developed so that he cannot understand. In place to think or slowly toward their own dormitory. When Lin Chia's figure appeared in the empty corridor, the little fat eyes suddenly lit up. He suddenly stood up, once again arranged his appearance, showing neat white teeth, smiling at wearing slippers. Gradually walked Lin Chia. Lin Seven Knights' expression strange up, under the fat man's strange gaze. He seems to even the road will not go. Finally Lin Chia walked to the door of the dormitory. Hello, my name is Bai Li Tu Ming. I know this name is a bit of a mouthful. You can call me Tu Ming directly or call me Pang Pang. Have not waited for Lin Seven Knights to react. Fat man suddenly a bow, scared Lin Seven Knights even back 2 steps. I hope we can become friends the next year, please advise. This wave of operation directly to Lin Seven Knights will not be the whole. Well, 100 miles. 100 miles. Lin Seven Knights thought about it. It seemed to forget what his last 2 words were called, and only remembered that there was a fat. 100 miles. Biggie, don't be so polite. The fat man's eyes lit up again as if he took great pleasure in the name of Billapang Pang. I haven't asked you your name yet. Oh, my name is Lin Chia. Brother Seven Knights, I brought you some special products from my hometown, which are not valuable things, and I hope you don't dislike it. He smiled the gift box behind him one by one to Lin Chia. Lin Seven Knights only with a mental force sweep, expression suddenly wonderful up. A box of Rolex. Lin Seven Knights Meng. In the gift box in the fat man's hand, neatly placed 12 Rolex watches, Green Water Ghosts, Explorers, Greenwich. Each style is different. If not for Lin Seven Knights' weekday read more magazines, now cannot recognize a few. 12 Rolexes in a box. There is a red Fuji Apple gift set of immediate visual feeling. Why? Brother Seven Knights doesn't like Rolex. The fat man froze, put the Rolex gift box aside, picked up another box. What about Patek Philippe? Paribazel. Seven Knights, I wanted to give you something else, but most of the things in this camp are not used, so only the watch is the best. Lin Chia's arms piled up more and more gift boxes. After a long time he slowly opened his mouth. Bailey Pang Pang, you're home. In the watch business? No, our family has a little bit of everything. Bailey Pang Pang laughed. But you don't think too much, I am just a child of an ordinary family, not a son of a family. I am very close to the people. Oh no, I'm very down to earth. I believe you fuck. Lin Chia secretly rolled his eyes and put the gift box in his hand aside. These things I don't want. Why? Bailey Pang Pang was anxious. You take it anyway, it's not worth anything, it's just a gift. I don't like receiving gifts. So I... 100 Fat looked at Lin Seven Knights and looked at the gift box in his hand. Anxious sweat came out. Lin Chia looked at him and sighed. You take it first, and when I want it one day you give it to me. That. All right. Bailey Fat solemnly put away the gift box, and then slowly opened his suitcase regardless of the sheets and covers, all thrown on the bed. Then I lay on my back. Lin Chia mouth a smoke. What are you doing? Go to sleep. Bailey Fat patted the unknown cloth kneaded into a pile. The bed is good, sleep very. It's comfortable. Lin Chia. Lin Seven Nights is not a nosy person, not to mention now how the little fat man see how suspicious. He also do not want to tangle, just a closed eyes, pretend to sleep in the past. After a while Bailey Pang Pang got up quietly and whispered, Brother Seven Nights. 7 nights. Lin Chia closed his eyes and did not move. Bailey Pang Pang carefully stood up, tiptoed to the side of the cabinet, turning up. What does the fat man want? Lin Seven Nights closed his eyes, continued to use the spirit to perceive the 100 Li Pong Pong's every move. A moment later, Bailey Pang Pang held the gift box that had just been stuffed back, moved to Lin Chia's bed, and quietly stuffed the gift box one by one to the bottom of Lin Chia's bed. Lin Chia. This little fat man. So persistent. Lin Seven Nights, evil from the heart, suddenly opened his eyes, looking to the side of the 100 Fat. What are you doing? Bailey Fat body shock, but sitting on the ground scared, looking at the eyes of Lin Seven Nights. This is not too smart, brain running fast. So he stiffly came to Lin Chia's feet. With a sniff. 7 Nights, your feet smell so good. Lin Chia. Lin Seven Nights, completely silly in place. Rao is witty such as him, also cannot think of how to reply to this sentence. What species is this? See, Lin Chia froze in place. Bailey Fat hesitated for a moment, his feet stretched out in front of Lin Chia. Cautiously asked. Or, you smell mine too? Lin Seven Nights, killing heart gradually. In the distance, in another building. Chief Instructor Yuan Gang quietly put down the telescope in his hand. The expression is wonderful. He turned to look at the Hong instructor and pointed to the 2 people who were smelling each other's feet on the opposite side of the mouth. That's what you said. 2 dangerous people? Instructor Hong. Not? Instructor Hong rubbed his temple. This is not right. One is a proud Seraphim agent, and the other is a pampered little master of the 100 Li group. These 2 people live under the same roof. How dangerous. Wait, how could they just... Yuan Gang patted him on the shoulder and opened his mouth with earnest words. Hong Hao. If you want to know someone, you can't just focus on their identity, their background. In this world there can be countless people with the same family background, but there are thousands and thousands of people's character and character. Yuan Gang said this sentence, then turned and left. Wait until completely out of the line of sight of the Hong instructor. Yuan Gang finally untensed, a laugh out. Instinct. Chapter 72. Training begins. From the second day of Lin Seven Nights arrived at the training camp, the new recruits into the camp gradually increased, and the originally empty dormitory buildings were basically full unconsciously. On the morning of the 3rd day, Lin was awakened by the noise outside the corridor. He sat up and rubbed his sleepy eyes. Fat bastard, up so early? Lin Seven Nights glanced next to the pigsty-like bed. Has no one? Some surprised raised eyebrows. I guess this rich guy is different after all. After these 2 days of getting along, Lin Chia is also considered to have a preliminary understanding of this 100 Li Fat. He does not belong to the kind of arrogant domineering father-in-law, but seems to also try to hide his family, disguised as an ordinary family, but the acting is too poor. Nature is not bad, is a little lacking in mind. This is Lin Seven Nights of Bailey Pang Pang preliminary evaluation. Lin Chia is not afraid of things to some extent. He even expects his roommate to be a domineering person who is arrogant and always finds fault with him so that he can justifiably beat him and then occupy the whole room. And yet, he's a harmless fat fool. This silly fat man happy to get along with him every day, at every turn to give a gift, speak very polite. Lin Seven Nights on the feeling that he is a punch to the cotton. Hit him. I can't live with myself. Don't hit him. When he sneaks his feet up to his face in the middle of the night, he can't help it. The most annoying thing is that after Lin Seven Nights was smelly wake up, Bailey Fat will sincerely look at his eyes. 7 points expect, 3 points shy to a sentence. 7 Nights, you still haven't answered me. Do my feet smell good? Fortunately, there was no knife at hand. Otherwise the dead fat man would never see the sun the next day. Lin Chia stretched the body, the toothbrush in his mouth, dragging the empty hot water bottle ready to go out to wash. Just opened the door, I saw great people around the opposite dormitory building. The crowd, a fat man who exudes pearls is shouting at the top of his voice. Fellow comrades, I brought you some specialties from my hometown. I hope you don't mind, and in the next year I hope you will take care of me a lot. Ah, there brother, don't rob, everyone has wow. Bailey Pang Pang raised his round arm, which was tightly wrapped with a dozen different watches, and wrapped his hand like a mummy, which was simply expensive and intimidating. The recruits around them were suddenly sensational. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a dude. I'm just a normal kid, I just want to get along with you. Clap. Looking at the chaotic dormitory building opposite, Lin Chia shocked with her mouth wide open, and the toothbrush in her mouth fell to the ground. This fat man. What the hell is going on? He muttered to himself. Even the rich boys aren't that rich, are they? 200 new recruits for the whole new barracks. One watch for every one of them? This is throwing money. But even with the entire dormitory building in uproar, some in the crowd remained unmoved. Lin Chia noticed that next to the corridor on the same floor, a teenager was leaning against the wall, looking at them coldly. He stood there as if standing in another world, giving people a sense of misfit, as if there was an invisible wall in front of him, isolating all noise, and his eyes were as calm as water. On the right side of the girls' dormitory building, there is also a long-haired girl standing in the corridor, squinting at the crowd of Bailey fat, eyes full of contempt. The more observation, the more Lin Seven Knights found that there were not a few people hidden in the dark observation of this farce. Some of them were indifferent, some were cynical, some despised, and some were ready to move. Bailey Pang Pang this hand detonated the atmosphere of the recruits' dormitory at the same time. Also in the dark will be a secret picture show in the eyes of Lin Seven Knights. In the same way when Lin Chi Knights noticed them, they also noticed each other. At this time Hong instructor with several instructors into the dormitory area, looking up to the noisy dormitory building, shouting abuse. What the fuck are you doing? What about a market? There. Would you like me to invite some strippers to give you a little dance? A few loud shouts echoed between the dormitory buildings, gathered in the vicinity of Bailey Pong Pong's new recruits broke down, leaving only Bailey Pang Pang holding a watch full, quietly looked down, silently lying on the ground, whispering. Can't see me, can't see me, can't see me. Instructor Hong's mouth twitched slightly and continued to shout with a straight face. Do not think that the training has not officially started, you can be wild. I'm telling you, when you go through that door you're soldiers. Soldier. Discipline. This is the first time. Cut you some slack. Next time I find out who's rioting, watch me drill before you die. Instructor Hong let out a loud roar. Do you understand? Got it. The sound came from 3 dormitories. Instructor Hong's eyes were like a knife, sweeping the 3 dormitory buildings, and then slowly opening his mouth. Meet everyone at the training ground at 2 o'clock this afternoon. With that, he turned and walked out of the confines of the dormitory building with several other instructors. 100 Fat looked down from the corridor seam, stood up in a hurry, holding the watch, ran to the side of Lin Seven Knights. Scared the hell out of me. It's a good thing I hid quickly or they would have found me. 100 Fat touched the small heart, afraid of the opening. Lin Chia. Well, it seems that the rest of these gifts will not be delivered. Bailey Pang Pang looked down at the watch in his hand and sighed. Why are you so obsessed with gift giving? Lin Seven Knights could not help but ask. How can you build a good relationship with others without giving gifts? 100 Fat of course said, my father said, the world's most exquisite is the sense of the world. Lin Chia rolled his eyes. If the worldly wisdom is all of this world, then this society is dead. After saying that, he didn't care if he understood, bent down and picked up his toothbrush and continued to walk toward the hot water room, leaving only Bailey Pang Pang to stay in place, scratching his head vacantly. Afternoon. Lin Seven Knight changed from the supply station to the military uniform, straight to the training ground. Bailey fat while trying to put his butt into his pants, while in a hurry to keep up with Lin Seven Knights, from time to time shouted, 7 Knights, you wait for me. When the 2 people came to the training ground, the people on the field have basically arrived, but now there is no formation, everyone is random standing team looking tall and thin uneven. On the performing arts stage, more than 20 instructors stood tall and upright, neat like a green pine. Standing in the front of the general instructor, Yuan Gang looked down at the chaotic crowd, eyes slightly narrowed. Chapter 73. We are little masquerades. Stand on your feet. The instructor behind Yuan Gang shouted. All the recruits in the field suddenly quiet down, although the queue is still crooked, but at least you can see the prototype of the ranks. Lin Seven Knights and Bailey Fat Fat came relatively late, so standing in the last side of the queue, even so, still can feel the pressure from the instructors on the stage. They did not use the forbidden market, did not use weapons, they just stood there. That momentum is like a mighty mountain repressed in the chest of the people. This momentum can only come from the life and death of the temper. This is their group of rookies do not have. Yuan Gang silently stared at the people below for a long time, only to slowly open, the voices low and loud. I know that you are all geniuses from the whole Bactria, either with the forbidden ruins that ordinary people dream of, or with the highest skills, perhaps with the most astonishing background. But from the moment you walk through that door you have only one identity. That's the recruit. It's a rookie. Oh, now you're not even noobs. You're crap. You're trash. When faced with a truly powerful mystery, you will only get yourself killed and your teammates hurt. If you want to truly become the Night's Watch, you still have a long way to go. Yuan Gang's voice is getting louder and louder, like thunder reverberating in the open training ground. Lin Chia's spirit can clearly perceive. Most of the recruits around the expression are cooled down. Some look up proudly, some sneer secretly, some despise, some bow their heads in contemplation. You don't agree? Yuan Gang will all the expressions of the eyes, raised eyebrows. No one answered, but their answers were written all over their faces. Yeah, I just don't agree. Do you think that you have a powerful forbidden market, extraordinary abilities and a great future? Do you think that the reason why I can stand here and scold you is just that I was born a few years earlier and your realm is high? Do you think that I can say that you are weak, that you are low in realm, but cannot say that you are waste garbage? Yuan Gang sneered twice. Fart. I'm absolutely right. In the state you're in, even if you reach the Klein realm, you're just better losers. Meet those who are really strong, even a move cannot survive. Do you believe it? Many people's breathing heavy up, dead staring at the stage of Yuan Gang, eyes as if there is anger burning. I don't believe it. At that moment, a young man with an open military uniform and a military cap on his back slowly reached out his hand, chewing gum in his mouth, and his face was full of drama. What's your name, recruit? Shin Zhuqing. All right, who else is interested? I don't agree. Me. And me. One man, Shin Qingzhu, took the lead and the remaining disobedient grew more and more, until at last about half of the whole group raised their hands. Back row 100 Fat Arch Forest 7 Knights. 7 Knights. How about you? Was me. Fuck me. Why is that? Because he's right. Lin's 7 Knights' mind emerged that washed all the heavy rain, the rain invincible ghost face king. There are 2 miles that standing in the dark extraordinary intelligence, secretly planning all the Nanda snake demon. They have not been exposed to the mystery, they do not know what those beings really are. Lin Chia's eyes narrowed slightly, and I was sure that if they really matched the 2 mysteries I had met, no more than 10 of the more than 200 people would survive. What's more, in this world there are definitely stronger, more twisted mysterious beings. If I meet them now, I'm afraid I don't know how to die. Have you ever seen Mystery? Is it good? That's pretty good. Okay, you take it, I take it. Bailey Fat very unprincipled said. On the stage, Yuan Gang's corners of his mouth rose slightly. He nodded and continued. Well, since so many of you don't agree, I'm going to give you a chance to find out who you are. Said he took out the walkie-talkie, light open, the end of it. Toot. The sound of the walkie-talkie turned off, and Yuan Gang looked up at the blue sky as if he were waiting for something. The audience also looked up but saw nothing, waited a moment and then began to whisper. Suddenly, someone in the crowd exclaimed. Someone fell from the clouds. The crowd looked up. Lin Chia looked at the sky, eyes slightly narrowed. I saw the blue sky above. 7 black dots are rapidly enlarged, and after a few seconds they saw. That's 7 people. 7 men in gray cloaks, black caskets and different masks. They fall from the top of the clouds, wearing no protection, just free fall, speed towards the training ground. The wind blows their capes hunting. My goodness. They didn't jump out of the plane, did they? No parachute yet. Standing next to Lin Chia, Bailey Pang exclaimed. Shocked is not only Bailey Pang, others are also dumbstruck. The noise is getting louder and louder. On the platform, Yuan Gang touched his nose and whispered, Good guy, I casually mentioned that they really jumped. That's too dedicated. Above the sky. The 7 figures swooned down, echoing in the air with the shriek of a slaughtered chicken, and the man in the swirly mask writhed his limbs frantically. Ah ah ah. Help. Ah dash. Vortex. Will you be quiet? I'm going deaf. The woman in the rose mask was swearing. I'm afraid of heights. Rose. You can't just stand there and talk. Whirlpool is horse, Captain. Yuan Gang, that guy said to jump. We really jump, ah? On what grounds? At the bottom, a man wearing a Wong mask opened his mouth faintly. I heard that this new student is difficult to scare, and Yuan instructor estimated that there was no way to find us to help. This busy, we have to help. Ugh. What if we fall to our deaths? I'm here. I can't break you. The man wearing a scales mask next to him rolled his eyes. Are you good at it? I've put on 2 pounds recently. Can you hold it? Captain, can I just let this guy fall to his death? No way. Ah. All right, quiet. Wong looked at the face and continued to say, soon to land, call too loud will let them hear, very embarrassing. That I'll try to scream as quietly as possible. The whirlpool covered its mouth. As they got closer to the ground, the recruits finally got a good look at their costumes. Is it a mask? One of the 4 special squads. In the panic of the crowd, watching the 7 people are about to fall to the ground, the man wearing the balance mask stretched out 2 fingers and gently shook. The gravity of the 7 men disappeared in an instant, and they flailed gently to the ground like feathers. Their toes were a little above the ground and they stood there, their gray cloaks fluttering in the wind, and 7 very different masks glistening in the sunlight. The king's eyes swept across the faces of everyone and he opened his mouth lightly. Hello, everyone, we are to mask, small. Before the king finished speaking, the legs of the vortex were soft. He fell on his knees in front of the freshmen. Whirlpool. Masquerade. Hashtag. New recruits. Dea. Chapter 74:239 verses 5. The scene suddenly fell silent. Wong face mask under the mouth, crazy convulsions, rose fist hard up. The face of the instructors are wonderful. Only the recruits just standing there, kind of confused. Is this kneeling? Is this it? No way. What's he doing? They might have guessed what was happening, but they didn't dare to think in that direction, trying to find a rational explanation for what they saw. Come on, it's a mask. How could you make such a stupid mistake? All eyes fell on the whirlpool. The vortex kneels there, takes a second to recognize reality, hesitates for a moment, then slowly raises his hands. And he laid his hands on all the freshmen. Mask Squad Vortex, give you an early birthday. With that, he suddenly stood up proudly and pretended that nothing had happened. Lin Chia. Bailey Pang Pang thought very seriously to Lin. 7 nights year, 7 nights, you said? Is this drill sergeant on a budget, unable to hire the real masquerade squad, so he's hired a high-powered clone? I don't think so. Lin Chia's eyes fell on the king's face in front of the 7, and his face gradually became serious. Lin. 7 nights can feel the man on the stage, exudes a touch of divine power. Others may not notice, but Lin Chia can. Because they're all agents of the gods. At the same time, the king on the stage also seems to be aware of the presence of Lin. 7 nights. 2 people's eyes collided together. After a moment, the king looked away and slowly said his lines. We, are the mask special team. Everyone gasped. Yuan Gang's mouth slightly raised. The voice again echoed in the training ground. Since you are not satisfied, I will give you a chance to find out who you are, a chance to really touch the top talent. It's 2:30 in the afternoon and until 9 o'clock at night, all 239 of you recruits, by any means necessary to unmask any one member of the masquerade squad, win. If you win, you will prove that you are really good, and this year's training will not be necessary, and I will apply for your graduation tomorrow. But if no one does by 9 o'clock, you'll all throw your ridiculous pride and ego down the toilet. No matter what requirements we put forward, you must carry out. Do you understand? Here Yuan Gang, this paragraph, present all new recruits suddenly burst open the pot. Soon there were protests. This is not fair. They are basically the Sichuan or sea border of the strong, and we are a border how to fight. In this battle, the masked team will suppress their own realm to Zhanjing. In the same realm, 239 against 7. You guys, don't you dare. There was an uproar. Everyone is a light environment. Naturally, there is no fundamental sense of the strong and weak points. The rest is nothing more than tactical cooperation, strategy and combat quality. Even if the members of the mask team are famous for many years of the strong, but they are fully 239 people. Can't a pile kill them? He recruits breathing suddenly became rapid. There's no reason to lose with this huge disparity in numbers. If we win, that can not only save this year's training, but also severely give themselves a wave of face. I agree. It's a deal. The atmosphere of the new recruits was immediately ignited, and they stared at the 7 gray figures on the stage, their eyes burning. Seems to feel their high spirit of war. The king narrowed his eyes and opened his mouth. Against you don't need 7 people. We only need 5 men to take you all down. This sentence, the new recruits' emotions were detonated again. They responded fiercely to the king's provocation. The whole scene was a mess. Are they so arrogant? 100 Fat surprised to open. They are not arrogant, on the contrary they are safe. Lin Chia shook his head. Bailey Fat 1 Lung, only out of 5 people will do all of us. This is not arrogant. The rules of this fight are that if you unmask one of them you win, so the more people they play the more likely they are to lose. Lin 7 Knights C 100 Fat still do not understand, continued to say. A team of 7 people must have their own strengths and weaknesses, and once the short board is exposed under the collective siege of 239 people, the short board is very likely to be broken, but if all the short board is left outside the court at the beginning, there will be no problem. They're worried that some of their players aren't good at fighting, so they just sit them out so they don't have any weaknesses. That's the truth. So, they're actually afraid of us. We have a good chance, don't we? Not necessarily. Lin Chia glanced at the excited crowd in front of him and opened his mouth lightly. Although we have an advantage in number, we are a group of rabble without cooperation. In this case, the number of people has become our disadvantage. The 5 masquerades are a sharp blade and the 239 of us are just a mess of sand. All right. Bailey Pang sighed. Whether or not we can win mask is not about how many of us. It's how many smart people we have. Lin 7 Knight's eyes around the new recruits swept over. Yuan Gang saw that the momentum of the following people has been accumulated, and opened his mouth to say, the weapons you need can be found in the warehouse, and the next 7 hours belong to you only. Don't care how many facilities you destroy, how many buildings you destroy, no matter what you make of this place, we can restore it. Let me see what you're capable of. Yuan Gang finished the last sentence. He turned and left with all the instructors. As planned, me, Whirlpool, Rose, Scales, Moon, Ghost, 5 people, you go back to rest. Wang turned to the other 2 members and said 2 words, and they followed the instructor away. In the end, only 239 recruits and the 5 members of the mask were left in the field. The atmosphere was suddenly tense. All the recruits looked at the 5 masked faces on the stage, the crowd, and someone reached out his hand and asked, "Excuse me, when can we start?" The balance smiled, held out a finger and pointed toward the crowd. The next moment, it was as if the questioner had been hit in the chest by an invisible hammer, and suddenly a mouthful of blood was spewing out and flying backwards. Amidst the tumult, the king's face opens a faint opening. Wasn't what the instructor said clear enough? From 2 to 9, that is. Now it has begun.